Future Sense is a podcast edited from the radio show of the same name, broadcast on Bay FM in Byron Bay, Australia at bayfm.org. Hosted by Nick Jeans and well-known international futurist Steve McDonald, Future Sense provides a fresh, deep analysis of global trends and emergent technologies. How can we identify the layers of growth, personally, socially, and globally? What are the signs missed, the truths being denied? Science, history, politics, psychology, ancient civilizations, alien contact, the new psychedelic revolution, cryptocurrency and other disruptive and distributed technologies, and much more. This is Future Sense.
Well, good morning to you folks on this Monday, the 16th of March 2020. In a world which is certainly different to the one it was a month ago, or even a week ago, or even a day ago. Hope you're doing well out there. Hope you are doing the right things, so to speak, doing the best that you can do to keep yourself healthy and safe and protected, and preventing infection and the spread of anything that might be out there. It's not an easy time, that's for sure. Panic is not going to help. Fear is not going to help, but judicious and discerning action certainly will. There's plenty of information out there regarding the coronavirus and all attendant necessities. As you would know, the Australian government has now made it compulsory that all people coming into the country, whether they're Australian citizens or not, will have to go into self-isolation for 2 weeks. That's affecting many people, and probably many people that you know, certainly people that I know.
Pick up the golden rod. It's time to call your God. Pick it up. Call God. The shaman and the channels, hackers and the dealer, they're all turning blue. All kinds of strife, misinformation.
And a bit of an intense track in the background there. That's Dirt Music and Gorkum Sen, and before that actually a piece from Gorkum Sen himself with this bizarre instrument that I found in a track called Yebaha. There's no point trying to be light about things when things are increasingly getting a little dark, but still, light shines, love shines, and that is the truth, in my opinion, at least, and we will certainly see our way through this. I was in the IGA yesterday doing some shopping, and it was very crowded, and the obvious toilet paper shelves were empty, but there were also some other shelves sort of starting to get pretty vacant, especially hand sanitizers and the obvious things. But it certainly brings forth in this very first world, very wealthy country that we are, the vulnerability that we do share with many other countries in many other ways. And while we are certainly better off than many other countries, being an isolated island for one, we are certainly not immune from the vagaries and the distortions of human activity, politics, culture, society, and disease, and all the other things that mean that really we are on one planet together. And we really are on this Gaia planet together, and that these kind of crises that we're now facing with the coronavirus, whatever it is, wherever it came from and wherever it is going, and whatever the agendas might be, because there may be those agendas out there somewhere. But the truth is that there is a serious issue that we have to face, and we have to be sensible about that now. Now, as you know, my co-host Steve McDonald is overseas at the moment. In fact, at the moment, as we speak, he's at Dulles International Airport in Washington, D.C., and I'm hoping to talk to him in about 10 or 15 minutes briefly about the state of play in the US. He's actually trying to make plans, change his plans, because he's been stopped from going into Europe via Denmark to Berlin, I think, and is going to have to make other plans, possibly to go to Iceland, Reykjavik. Now, I've got a few pieces to share with you a little bit about the coronavirus a little later on, but we'll see how we go with that. We do also have as you noticed, we didn't have a morning news bulletin today for a few reasons, but certainly Bay FM here as a community service, as an essential service in Byron Shire, and broadcasts via the internet around the world. If you're listening somewhere out there, hello. But we are looking at the strategies that we need to put in place, and some of them are already here in terms of disinfecting things and minimising traffic into the station and the like. Certainly, if you are planning to come to the station and you have any symptoms of anything, it would be really good if you didn't come in now, and the same, of course, anywhere that you go. So we're looking to bring the best practice that we can in a situation which we really have none of us have really any experience of this kind of crisis that we're now in. Now, Mia Armitage from the newsroom, from the community newsroom, has interviewed this morning Dr. Dan Ewald, a Lennox Head GP and adjunct professor and primary advisor to North Coast Health District, and he's a clinical advisor for the North Coast Primary Health Network. So we will, I think that's what she's saying here, a quick text. So we will hopefully be playing that at some point in the show today. We'll see when she gets that finished and edited and back and loaded up here so that I can access it. So we will be doing that at some point, getting a local perspective from a GP who's in the health network solidly there. I also have a piece sent by my co-host Steve McDonald from the Arlington Institute in West Virginia. And an interview with John L. Peterson. John L. Peterson is a pretty remarkable chap, considered by many to be one of the most informed futurists in the world. And he's best known for writing and thinking about high-impact surprises, wildcards. Well, we're in one right now, and the process of surprise anticipation. But we are going to be listening to him talking more about the larger perspective of transformation that we talk about a lot on this show, and his perspective currently from over there in the US, recorded just a couple of days ago. And that comes in a few parts, and we'll be playing that a little bit later in the show, probably from about 9:40 or so, 9:45 onwards this morning, and a little bit later that report from Mia Armitage from the community newsroom, something like that. We're flying by the seat of our pants in a good way here, and fortunately Bay FM is flexible. We are adaptable, and really that's the thing. Can you be adaptable? Can you change your lifestyle now when it is clearly absolutely necessary that to some degree or other we do? As of today, probably you are aware that events like the Blues Fest, very likely that they won't be going on. I don't think there's been an official announcement, but it's certainly true that Brad Hazzard, the New South Wales Health Minister, has said now that, employing certain powers, that events over 500 people will literally be banned at the risk of fairly significant fines. So we shall see what happens there. Sad news indeed for many, many people who work here and who depend on things like the Blues Festival, not to mention the patrons and not to mention, of course, the artists. So that's a complex thing. I'm not saying that it is cancelled. I'm just saying that's probably, and you would know that, it's the likely outcome of this escalating situation that we now find ourselves in. Let's play some music, and we will come back and see what is next. Stay tuned here. You're tuned to Future Sense. Nick Jeans in the chair till 11 o'clock this morning here on Bay FM. Hopefully we are going to be broadcasting right through all of this. Whatever happens here in this country, in this region, we're going to be here on air as best we can and providing as much information as we can for you. Thanks for joining me here and staying with Bay FM, your local one and only radio station.
You're tuned to Future Sense with Nick Jeans and Steve McDonald. Engage, emerge, activate, and spiral up.
Yeah, you're tuned to Bay FM. You're tuned to Future Sense here with Nick Jeans by himself in the chair this morning. But in a very short time, I'm going to be talking to my co-host Steve McDonald from Dulles International Airport in Washington, D.C. in the US of A. He's looking to fly out of the US today, and we're going to be catching up with him and some of the things he's seen, heard and felt there in the Future Sense way. So stay tuned for maybe a bit of edgy stuff there. Stay tuned. After that, I'll be talking I won't be talking, I'll be playing to you a piece on John L. Peterson, who Steve has been interviewing over there at the Arlington Institute. Check it out, Arlington, the Arlington Institute in West Virginia. It's a place, we'll talk about it further. I'll come back to that. It's a not-for-profit, future-oriented research institute. Very interesting man indeed, with a very long and complicated history. So we'll be talking to him, Steve and Mitch, in fact, talking to him. So we're doing the best we can here to stay sane and normal in the face of whatever is happening out there with coronavirus and all the attendant changes that are happening and must happen, and that you are involved in your own personal life right now, I imagine. You are tuned to Future Sense. It's 9:25 here in Byron Shire on the east coast of Australia, and of course broadcasting right throughout the world via bayfm.org. And if you're listening to the podcast through futuresense.it, then hello to you wherever you are listening from. And indeed on the phone from Dulles International Airport in Washington DC, in the amidst let's see how much chaos there is. We have my co-host Steve McDonald, who is there. Good morning, Steve, or good afternoon, Steve, to you. How you doing?
Hello, Nick. I'm doing pretty well considering what's going on.
Well, what is going on? Because you're kind of stuck. You were to fly to Europe today, but you're trying to change that at the moment because going to Europe is, well, it's maybe not the best option, not so easy anyway.
That's right, yeah. One of my flights, I had a few connecting flights that I was hoping to get me to Germany, but one of them's been cancelled overnight, and that's disrupted the whole trip. So I'm just trying to get some flight changes done here at the moment, but the airlines are absolutely overwhelmed, as you might imagine.
Yeah.
And the ticketing line that I've been calling, have just got a recording saying, "We're sorry, we can't take any calls." As simple as that. And the people at the desk at the airport here can't change tickets, they say. So at the moment, I've got one of our staff from Australia calling the UK line, trying to get through there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how are you feeling? How does it feel in the US? I mean, obviously, you've been away for a couple of weeks now here, and things have certainly ramped up in Australia one way or the other, inevitably. And certainly it would seem the US, well, the criticism is the US has been a bit behind the eight ball in responding. Trump has been certainly criticised heavily for his responses generally. What's the feeling like, though, in the places that you've been so far in the US?
It's been okay. I went to Austin, Texas first, and everything was very normal there. I've heard just today from friends there that things are starting to get a little bit silly in the supermarkets there.
Yes.
And then the last few days I've been up hiding in the hills in West Virginia at Berkeley Springs with John Peterson at the Arlington Institute. Yeah. So it's been pretty fine up there, although he did have to go looking for toilet paper in about 3 different stores before he found some.
Right, okay.
So we've still got, similar things happening over here as well.
What's a general sense in the media, though? I mean, we're going to be talking a little bit about panic and fear, anyway, as we usually do on this show. So what's the temperature of that whole thing going on there?
Look, as you probably know, I rarely look at the mainstream media. But sitting in the airport here, sitting at a bar in the airport here, they had one of the sort of continual news channels going, and it was just continual coronavirus. And every topic that they had, it was this in relation to the coronavirus, and how is the coronavirus affecting that? So it's getting pretty hectic in the media, but it's been like that all along. They seem to be playing it up, as far as I can gather. And so Mitch and I were at the Arlington Institute to shoot some interviews for our documentary with John Peterson, and that went really, really well.
Yes, well, I've already told the listeners that I'll be playing some of that, or a fairly large part of that, after this interview and through most of the show today. Just a bit of a background about the Arlington Institute. I'll just read from their website, in fact, which is arlingtoninstitute.org. And you mentioned John Peterson, who's the founder of the Arlington Institute in 1989, a non-profit, future-oriented research institute, the purpose of which is to work with the leadership of the national security community, originally to change the idea of national security, which is an interesting thing, from death and destruction to a broader understanding of security that included environmental degradation, climate change, social value shifts, science and technology breakthroughs, and other global issues that clearly contributed to our security. And John is considered by many to be one of the most informed futurists in the world. So you've just spent some time with him, and we'll be playing that interview. But what can you tell us his take on the coronavirus?
Well, John is on the same page as me in that he thinks it's been overblown right from the beginning, and a lot of the response doesn't make sense when you look at the facts and figures. And that's certainly still the case. I saw on a TV screen just a short while ago that there were 62 confirmed deaths in the US now, and yet the country...
Oh, I think we lost you. Oh, that's the problem with these things, signal reconnecting. We'll see if we get him back in a moment or not. Yeah, you there? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. I think I just got kicked off the Wi-Fi network. When did I drop out?
You dropped out just before you... Oh, there you go. He's back in. He's back here. Let's keep talking. You dropped out just as you were beginning to talk about being on the same page as John Peterson from the Arlington Institute regarding the coronavirus. You just said that, and then you disappeared.
Yeah. So both John and I feel that the virus came out of a lab at Wuhan. And I must say that all of this is really uncertain. Like no one, certainly neither John nor I pretend to know what's actually going on here. We're just trying to piece together bits of information to get a picture of, what the most likely scenario is that's unfolding.
Yes.
So we both lean towards the virus coming from the lab at Wuhan. I know that the Canadian lab at Winnipeg was helping Wuhan upgrade its security measures. So, that may point to the fact that they were a bit loose with their viruses, perhaps, which might explain things. And then, of course, we had, the other strange issues that we've mentioned on the show previously of the Chinese nationals who were working in Winnipeg and travelling backwards and forwards to Wuhan, apparently being accused of stealing viruses. A former head of the lab at Winnipeg died unexpectedly recently. And again, these things might not be connected, but you've got to throw them in the pot to kind of help understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And as the international response has been rolling out, I mean, I've having spent 15 years in the military, I've done a lot of exercises, what people, in the general public would call war games, I guess, and you get used to the way that they work. There's someone with a script, a schedule of activities, and things kind of go quiet for a while, and then something will happen, and then, the next item on the schedule will come up 2 hours later and something will happen again. And I'm just kind of seeing that sort of pattern in what's going on around the world at the moment. It's almost like somebody's reading from a schedule and, playing to a script, and that it's being planned and it's being rolled out rather than being an in-the-moment kind of reaction, if you know what I mean.
So if that's the case, what do you think, what do you postulate is the agenda behind that? Obviously, it's a political agenda of some sort.
Yeah, it seems that way. Both John and I, again, lean that way, without any real evidence, of course. And one of the possibilities is, if you think about the way that global politics has been going, we're seeing the fragmentation of political parties. So what that means is that, the system is starting to break down. And I think the US is a really good showcase when you look at what's going on between the Democrats and the Republicans here, and how nasty it's got, and how they've tried every trick in the book, to manipulate the system, to impeach Trump, whatever they can do. And it's possible that they are taking advantage of this virus outbreak to push those agendas. I think it's probably likely, actually. Whether they planned it from the start, we don't know. But certainly, if it just was an accidental release from the lab, and they watched what was going on and then thought, okay, maybe we can take advantage of this by just overemphasizing it a little bit and making people do exactly as we want them to do, so that we can get away with a few more things, while everybody's panicking about the virus. That's possible. And when I sort of ran that idea past John Peterson, he said that there was he's been sort of contacting all people from all sorts of different places and all his sources, and he said the most exciting conspiracy theory that he came across pretty much ran along those lines, that this was an opportunity to sort of settle some scores.
I mean, whether the virus came from a lab or not, the possibility that it's been used, manipulated or distorted in response in some way or other by some peoples in various countries is, not a big stretch of the imagination in the current state of affairs on the planet.
No, I think it's to be expected. And even just looking at the economic implications, which are enormous, most
absolutely.
people wouldn't realise, because it's not just the economic situations, implications today, but also the downstream implications, as these issues mount up.
Well,
we're looking at...
Yeah. Just going to say, in Australia, just quickly on that, in Australia today, they've just said that some government officials have said it could take 10 years for the Australian economy to recover from the coronavirus economic impact. 10 years.
Yeah. One of the things that came up in conversation here was the possibility of a total economic reset globally.
Yeah.
And it could be an opportunity for that. I mean, it could be an opportunity for the forgiveness of debt and even the repositioning of the whole economic system somehow, maybe going back to pegging it to gold. Or I think it's probably a little too early for cryptocurrency to take over at this stage. I think it needs some more time to mature.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, but it's certainly a very, very interesting situation. I think there's an awful lot to learn from this, and it'll be interesting to watch it continue to unfold and just see where it goes. I mean, China, from what I hear, they seem to be on the back end of their issue now, and I saw Apple in the last day or so announce that they were shutting down stores around the world, except for in China where they're reopening stores.
Yes. Yeah, well, I guess that makes sense being the first place that it appeared, and yet it does, with a population the size of China, it's quite remarkable that they have seemingly contained it to the degree that they have, and as you said, possibly on the back end of it. That's interesting and sort of counterintuitive given everything else that's going on in the world elsewhere. Yeah,
well, there's been quite a few counterintuitive activities around this whole thing, which is why both John and I are a little suspicious. Yeah,
indeed. Well, Steve, we'll let you go and leave it there. The line's a bit shaky; it comes in and out a little bit. So let's let you go and see if you can get on a flight to somewhere out there in the world. And,
all right, Nick.
And catch you up.
I'll get back to you and let you know.
Yeah, and
I'll get back to you.
Go on. Yeah.
I was just going to say I'll get back to you and let you know where I end up.
Absolutely. Yeah, that'd be good. Thanks, Steve. Okay, well, travel well, Matt, and look after yourself out there.
Thanks, Nick. Cheers.
All right. Bye-bye. Thanks for your couple of texts that have come in. Yes, I appreciate, and especially from some experts, and we do have some experts here in the station, in fact, that it's like, the virus is saying the virus does not come from a lab. All I would say to that is we don't absolutely know anything. What we do know is there's a virus out there, and irrespective of where it comes from, we have a major situation on the planet, as we're all talking about. And I think, my personal view, while I don't have a lot of fear or anxiety myself, even though I'm in the demographic which is particularly vulnerable to this virus, I would say that we're still, even in this region of supposedly quite conscious people, I don't think we're really doing all we could do to minimise the possibility of it spreading. Prevention is better than cure, of course, and the various things you can do to help prevent and to minimise that exchange and the social contact are many, and they're out there. So take note and do it anyway, because I think it's very easy for us in this region to think, oh no, we're okay, because we're this, that or the other. Somehow we're vaguely immune from things. Well, we're not, of course, and no one is in this kind of situation. So no matter what you think about the virus, etc., whatever you might think about any kind of conspiracy theories or other theories about how it is, what it is, where it's coming from, what it's doing, and what it may be being used for, all of which I think are valid enough questions, but that does not, should not, will not, cannot stop all of us from doing exactly what is necessary to minimise the spread of this virus. Yeah.
You've been listening to Future Sense, a podcast edited from the radio show of the same name, broadcast on Bay FM in Byron Bay, Australia, at bayfm.org. Future Sense is available on iTunes and SoundCloud. The future is here now. It's just not evenly distributed.